Hi everybody, this is Patrick Murphy from Reptiles, and today I wanted to talk about setting up a basic corn snake setup. I often hear at shows people buying corn snakes for the first time talking about running out and just buying a kit at a local big box pet store. And I wanted to kind of go through why that can be a good idea, what you really get, and why that could be a bad idea. So today I'm sitting here with one of my female Tesseras that we produced this year. She's 6 months old now. So I'm going to use her as a demo for some of this just to give an idea of size of the enclosure and what they really need to be set up. So this is a typical kit that you can get at a big box store. And if you look at the kit, this is a 10-gallon tank, which is 20 inches long, 10 inches deep, and then 12 inches high. And that's a standard 10-gallon tank. Now in this kit, it includes the aquarium, terrarium. It includes a screen lid, says with a lock, an 8-watt heating mat, a thermometer and hygrometer combo, a hide, and a soaking dish. So let's open this up and see what's really inside. So I've never used this brand before, but this brand has a lid that slides in. It has grommets for cords to run down, and then the lock are these two knobs that you turn in front. So it's got a built-in locking system, which is nice and convenient. A lot of other ones you have to buy clips that go on the top to secure the top. Let's remove that. So in this, we get an instructional manual that explains how to use the enclosure. You get a care tips and savings sheet with some coupons. Here is the heat mat that comes with it. We also have our thermometer and hygrometer. And then this must be the soaking dish. There. And then we have our hide here, which is already chipped and losing pieces. So this is what you get in the basic kit. So you have your enclosure, this one happens to be elevated, which is good. We'll talk about that in a minute. And looks fairly decent. We have our heat mat, our small heating mat, temperature and humidity gauge, dish for water, and then the hide that they provide with it. So I've been reading through the setup guide that came with the enclosure just to get familiar with what they tell people, so when you buy this and bring it home, kind of know how they're advising you. And they go through some 3 basic steps: the terrarium, adding decor, and then the care of your animal. And some of this information is good. Some of the information I would disagree with, especially for corn snakes, but animals in general. So the first thing they take you through is setting up the terrarium. And what they go through is getting the right size for your animal, which 10-gallon, for a new corn snake, I would say is a minimum setup. And everything we're discussing today is about the minimum setup for a corn snake. And I'll try to go over where you can enhance the minimum to be a better experience for you and your snake. So you want to place this out of direct sunlight in your home. You want to keep it away from food areas where you prepare your own food for yourself. You want to keep them away from hallways and area where there's a lot of traffic and a lot of movement. just to reduce the stress of the animal. Now you can always block off the sides. As you can see here, I painted with acrylic paint the sides of this terrarium just to block it off. Now what you can't see on the other side is I actually spray foamed this into a vivarium with plants and everything else, but I wanted to block out the side just to make it look nice and not see all the spray foam that's on the inside coming through. But you could paint the sides of these different colors. You can just use paper. You could use one of the fancy backgrounds that's like a forest landscape. There's different things that you can do for that. You want to make sure that it's on a surface that's stable enough to hold the tank, the animal, and then anything that you put into it. And that will depend on how you build your enclosure. The next step is decor. So that starts with substrate. You need to determine what substrate that you're going to put into this. Now the most common, again, basic setup would be enclosure, add about 2 inches of aspen in here, and the corn snakes will burrow through that, crawl through that. They like to burrow, they like to go down. They will also climb, so you're going to want to put some climbing surfaces in there. But bare minimum setup for corn snake would be about 2 inches of aspen, a hide on a warm side, a hide on the cool side, and then a water dish as well. So we'll go through all those individually. Substrate and decor, you can get fancier and better to where you create a bioactive environment. And by bioactive, we mean you can put live plants in, you want to add springtails and isopods that clean up after your animal, so they'll eat the waste of the animal. So it's minimal, less cleanup for you to do. But then you're maintaining a micro ecosystem inside, not just your snake. For a beginning owner, that's very complex to try to keep up with the care of the plants, the isopods, the springtails, making sure there's a nitrogen balance, making sure the plants are thriving, aside from just having your snake. That's more advanced. But again, a bare minimum setup would be about 2 inches of aspen, 2 hides, water, and heat sources. Now, according to this guide, they have basically animals falling into 4 different ranges: desert, temperate, tropical, or semi-aquatic. I don't agree with the basking areas and lights they have on here, or the heating requirements and humidity requirements. For a corn snake, you want a heated side that is around 85 and a cool side that is around 75. That means you can't just place a heat lamp in the middle up here to bake both sides. It wouldn't give them the right temperature zone that they need. Humidity is usually average household humidity, anywhere from 30 to 50%. And again, there's different tools we can go over on how you measure that. They talk about basking and UVB lights in here, and you got to get rid of your UVA and V lights every 6 months. They may still function, but they lose that energy that they output over time, so they want you to keep buying into the lights. They say for humidity to mist it, you don't want to mist aspen because it will mold and get nasty. But what you can do is just put a dish, a small Tupperware dish with some moss, get a little bit damp and wet, and let the snake crawl through that if you have a humidity issue. If you do that, it could cause respiratory issues if it's too damp for them too often. But once a month through their cycle, whenever they're shedding, if you notice they're having trouble shedding, you can always just do a small Tupperware dish, cut a hole in the top, fill it with some sphagnum moss, and let them climb in and crawl through that as needed. They also have some care tips and savings for your pet. So they have free small frozen mouse, medium mouse, large mouse, 20% off any Thrive decor, any Thrive light bulb or heat map, or any Thrive substrate. So this is the information that comes with this specific enclosure.